This is Genuine Connections, featuring collaborative conversations about community, content, creativity, commerce, and the convergence of media and marketing.
So welcome,
Sight
Jacqueline.
and sound.
Thank you for being part of Genuine Connections here in Cannes.
I'm excited to be here.
It's a special IRL edition. We have to do these mostly virtual just because of the way business and operations keep us separate and travel, etc. But being together here in the south of France is always a treat, no matter how hard we're working, no matter how hot it is.
No matter how many showers you have to take.
Correct. 2 or 3 a day is usually the minimum. But usually around day 3, my voice starts to sound like this. How do you find your energy this far in?
My energy or my voice?
Well,
I'm running out. I'm running out of all of it. You know?
But do you find that you are going to be leaving here with something new that you've learned, or are you going to change something maybe as a plan for the second half of the year?
I think that it is validating, confirming in terms of what is happening in this industry. And we were just talking about maybe how long we've been around and how long we've been in the industry, but this is sort of the latest, right, in the whole evolution of media that has been driven by tech. And I think that what's really different about this one, many things, but what's really different that I don't think we have a full appreciation for yet is the speed with which these technologies are evolving. I have some background in technology generally as well as in the industry. So it is, I think, outside in, you can see some of the same patterns as when we first started with the web and then mobile came through and so on. But this is like here.
Yeah, the accelerated curve is happening in terms of both, in terms of technology, but do you think also in terms of adoption that we're seeing the same rate of speed?
I would say, I would define adoption as we're doing AI too.
Yes.
We're doing AI. It's agentic. Everything's
agentic. It's the word of the week.
Everything's agentic.
Yes.
But just like with online and the web in the past, I think people are in their first iteration of really knowing how they're going to create value from the tech. So when you say adoption, people feel forced, I think, in a way to say, of course we're doing agentic. Everybody's doing agentic. But in terms of adoption, I really think the preparedness and the readiness to adopt in ways that maximize value are really not there. I think it's a reflection of the way we work anyway, which is we revert. You know, we work a certain way. And then the technology facilitates what we do. With AI, it's changing everything. So you almost have to look outside in and say, what would you do if you had?
Yeah.
And then recreate it. But we're not, big companies especially, institutional
change is not as easy as personal change.
And it's so hard, and because it's moving so fast.
Right.
I think there's going to be a lot of stumbling. I think there already is. A lot of wasted capital. And I do think it's going to be a mix of, it's going to be a great cleansing. There's going to be a great cleansing, whether through consolidation, just stopping because you don't have something to really add to the equation anymore. There's a lot of change coming, but I'm an optimist.
Well,
I'm an AI optimist.
You're not just an optimist. You're someone who has seen the future before and either built, pivoted, adapted.
For better or worse, because it can
clearly
be pretty painful.
That's true. Look, most growth is not without pain, but I think you've proven that there is success when done the right way.
Thank you.
So before we continue to look too far forward, I want to take.
You asked, and I couldn't help myself.
We are adapting.
That's what I do. Okay.
The rate of change is happening quickly, even in this conversation.
That's
so it's good. But what I found fascinating, the more I learned about you and just dug into the successes and the growth that you've had both professionally and personally, the opportunity to take a company that you started years ago that there was no real digital pervasive consumer behavior at the time.
TV.
Correct. That's what I'm saying.
Right.
So linear TV was and still is a thing. It was a big thing.
It was the thing.
It was in many cases the only thing.
For many years.
Right. But you had a foresight to plan for and understand what could happen with CTV and where that industry could go. What did you recognize early on that made such an adaptation and adoption so important?
Let me tell you first what I got wrong, like dead wrong.
Transparency is just as genuine
and
as
connected back to what I just said before, because that it makes sense and that it is like, the correct thing to do in terms of a win-win-win-win-win. Does not make it so. So when I was in the banking industry, in the financial institutions industry, and I was recreating infrastructures, businesses, business processes, customer interactions, and all that stuff, you think you understand a lot, because I did like 10 of those corporate wide.
And there were some consistencies in terms of just the way the processes
and when
foundational
I left
elements.
It was because I sat down with the then founder, and I was employee number one, and I said, we should open up the ambit of what we're doing. This is not sector specific. And he said, you're absolutely right, Jacqueline. And I've been waiting for this moment. And he said, there's only one problem with that. And I said, what's that? And he said, it's not broken. Meaning there was no reason for him to expand his focus. He was doing a huge business in the financial institutions industry. There were many things that were supporting that. And so what I said, okay, well, here's the problem. I'm the same age you were when you started this business, and it's not going to be enough for me, because I see the possibilities for coming in with this whole change management framework that begins with the future, brings it back to today, and creates a whole execution plan to deliver that. And we did that every time. And that's why I came into this industry and thought, well, this just makes sense.
We know the playbook.
And it is a playbook. Who knew it would take so long for a really entrenched model in linear and television to say, white flag, I give. Okay, we can go to connected TV now. It took a pandemic. It literally took a pandemic.
Was that such a triggered, pervasive mass event that changed everything all
fundamentally
at once? Wow.
Fundamentally.
I mean, it changed a lot of things.
Tectonically, because then you're in a position that the banks were in when I was working with them, where you have to change. You had to change. You had to have a play in streaming because people were home.
So
and
don't
they were
wait till it breaks
Netflix.
Before you improve or fix it. It's kind of a
Correct.
lesson.
It's sort of, and I tried to advise companies the way I did then. They were grabbing onto it. What I didn't realize is the financial institutions industry was under a kind of pressure that made everything urgent, right? It didn't become urgent to be a streamer and a profitable one until the pandemic hit and you realized, oh my God, people are sitting in front of the television and they're watching Netflix, right? So everyone had to race to get there. And that's what made our business become as valuable as it has become, right? Because it allows the now streamers to say, we're not just in this, we're the most innovative players out there. And that's where my tech comes in.
As you work across different apps and with different partners, going across all of them and working with each of them, there are some similarities clearly, but there are also differences in some of the ways that they operate, and maybe even in some of the ways that the technology is accessible.
The irony, can I just say?
Sure,
I'm sorry to cut you off.
No,
it's so funny. The things that are different are the things that are the same. And here's what it is. Everything is so deeply proprietary. Same. Everyone wants to build it themselves. Same. Everyone's probably tried once and failed. Same. And then those proprietary technologies could not be more different. And so now you're integrating into these highly proprietary, we used to use this word in the old days, bastardized, right? Because you build it one way for certain things and then you add to it and everything and then it becomes so layered and difficult to work with. That was what made it so hard and took a lot of time. And product folks are not necessarily interested in bringing in outside tech. And that's an understatement, right? It's like, we can do this. What you're doing is not that. No,
blame it on the roadmap, but use it as a defense mechanism.
Ooh, yes, exactly. Exactly.
It's not an uncommon challenge, but it's something that I think if you understand and can relate to, but show the benefit, show the value, then slowly you either jump the line or you can work your way up the line of that
Exactly,
roadmap.
but honestly, I have to tell you, because it took so long to integrate in all of these apps and devices and the TV
OEMs,
ecosystem, nobody was ready when the pandemic happened and streaming, exploded, to do what we did. So it was worth all of the pain, and also the ability to say, my investors who came from the financial industry, to say, see, I told you it was going to happen. I didn't say when it was going to happen, but it happened. See, that felt good. That felt good.
How often do you find that you need to either tweak, change, or just rip the Band-Aid off and recreate your, not necessarily elevator pitch or 30-second description, but is it adapting as rapidly as the technology is, or do you stay more holistic and high level with
that's a great question.
Explaining the benefits and values of the company?
It's a great question, and it's an important one.
It's the marketer asking the question, obviously, but
right. No, but what's so important about that question is we were future, players. We were playing in the future for so long that people thought they knew what BrightLine did. Like, to survive, we started out as basically high-end boutique consultants to say, this is something you're going to need to understand. And when you get there, you don't want to start understanding it then. You want to understand what the audience is doing now. So we're going to create opportunities for you to learn and generate data and so on. For 10 years, we did that. Okay, 13, actually.
You're already ahead of yourself here.
And then we had to pivot to tech, because finally we saw how we were going to bring this stuff to scale. And so once we changed to tech, people already thought they knew who BrightLine was. And what we had to do is change the pitch, because the reality was, you think you knew us, and you did. But now we have something different to provide to you, which is all the scale that allows you to create interaction, engagement. And by the way, it's, as you actually pointed out a little earlier, when you can, we knew for a long time, is as longer you can engage a consumer in something they're interested in, right?
Eyeballs equals revenue. It's
Absolutely.
at a core element of our business, right?
Right, exactly. So the elevator pitch does not change. Now that we're who we are, the elevator pitch doesn't change.
Okay.
All it is like, how much engagement do you want, and how would you like it?
How deep does it need to go?
And here's your self-serve piece that will create it for you, and it's gone.
I think as we come to a festival, and I still call it a creative festival since that's my background, but it is a technology and innovation and creative festival, but it's really a convergence of all different types of operating systems, left brain, right brain.
Yes.
So many people here think that the value of something that you do would be in the ad format, right? In terms of just the way that we deliver value as an industry. But I know you've said that the value of your company is really in the integration layer. As the industry continues to evolve, and creative can be a moat for a lot of growth and a lot of defensive protection against some of the technology that either causes positive or negative change. How do you work with and think about the power of creative, since we're here at what should have been a creative festival all along?
Yeah, that is very, that's at the core of me, because I know, based on everything that I've experienced, that if you don't get it right in terms of where the human creativity is, it's just not meaningful, right? And so where I would, let me take a slight step back on that. In terms of creativity, interestingly, it's not that complicated in content, big screen content. You're either going to be delivering something that someone is really curious about, excited about, passionate about, or you're
drama,
not,
sports,
or you're not, right? Or you're not. Okay, so here's what I've learned. Interactivity and engaging the audience, we know through the internet, is right? It's the grail. Okay. People tried to do that with content inside the big box. They've done it, but it's not scalable. Guess what makes it scalable? AI. And that is the creativity the science piece to the creativity for me. You don't
As an amplifier, an
as
accelerator,
an enabler.
Okay.
Of creating experiences we couldn't create before. So you can actually go to ChatGPT and say, I want interactivity to happen when the emotional side of this story is crescendoing, and I want you to tell me how to make it happen. That's the way you use AI, and you don't give up what is special, which is our human ingenuity and our human creativity. You combine it with what the tech can do, and that's what, to me, that is the new grail. So creatives shouldn't be shouldn't be scared or frightened if that's how we use the technology. It's not just technology for the
So
sake
we
of
are
generating
enablers. This is
creativity.
okay. I like that
It's
positioning.
technology that's enabling the creativity.
And that is not different than any other change and innovative period in time.
That's why I'm an AI optimist.
I mean, it's who can't be based on the things that we've seen. I get
Well,
why
there's a lot of people who can't be.
I get some anxiety around the way it can be applied, but the positives are hopefully going to far outweigh the negatives.
Of course.
One of the challenges that I think we've encountered as leaders who've built and created and scaled businesses is with the positives that have come from connecting online and with each other.
Yes.
There's also fragmentation. And fragmentation, especially in our industry, whether it's devices, technologies, operating systems, can be a challenge, clearly. For a company like you, do you see it as a tailwind? Is it a tax that you have to just kind of pay in order to be successful and just deal with? Or is it something that can be overcome?
Not a tailwind.
Okay.
I think it's a headwind because I think too many people profit off of fragmentation. And I don't think it's going to go away. I think it's going to take the best of us to do what's correct and the right thing for the viewer, the audience, the consumer, whoever is on the receiving end. Because I think, unfortunately, in our country, for all its great qualities and current challenges, we do tend to capitalize from a financial standpoint in ways that compromise how we can capitalize as humans. And so I view it as always a headwind. And just to go back to the speed piece, something we have to be particularly vigilant around. And that's the part that I worry about. The part that offsets it is we do have a bit of a self controlling aspect too. People do get afraid. Like right now, Anthropic and our government now is saying, oh no, you can't deal with foreign, you can't give them access to this stuff. Why? Because there's a fear side of this too. So, and I think that the human nature part of it is our fear is what's going to hold us back from going too far to exploit. And all to say, yes, I am a complex thinker, but that's just the way I think it through,
And it sounds like, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but paraphrasing, that there are elements of trust, and at various stages, if you trust partners and companies with whom you work, then to be further enabled and accelerated.
And they earn that trust.
but that's what I wanted to ask is how, as a founder and a leader of a business, you cultivate a culture that creates a trusted relationship between your partners and customers with your team.
Yeah.
Because that does have to start from the top.
Yeah. And that is the piece that has been so valuable, as one of the really important pieces becomes so valuable in from an existential standpoint for the company, which is if it's not about relationships and how you are there for the people you say you're there for. So we wouldn't be, NBCU wouldn't be one of our biggest, clients, partners, and whatever, pick your word, if it weren't for every step of the way showing them that we deal from a place of delivery, execution, outcome, measures by our results. Deeper and deeper and deeper and broader that relationship became because of that. And if you don't develop a trust, or you're Amazon and you're just so big you can basically say, I'm going to give it to you for free, come this way, right? That's not trust, by the way. That's free. And right, that's free. And if you wanted to ask me who's the biggest, most, sort of scary player out there today and in the future, it's that company, because the capitalizing from the monetary standpoint, it makes it so easy to not do the right thing.
Well, we've seen that with big companies. The bigger
Right.
they get, the harder it is to maintain that, I'd just say integrity. But
Great word. Great word.
But also in the way that they not just work with partners, but in the way that consumers are able to make free and independent decisions.
Yeah,
And
it's tough. It's tough.
do
You have power, you use it, right? You don't give it up. And once you get that big and you move, into that place of dominance. I mean, look at our situation. I don't want to get into politics, but it's a really simple premise. Power, use it or lose it. Like that is the philosophy right now. It doesn't have to be bad or good. We won't get into that part. But power is either used or not used when you're in a position of power. And so you can't, it's a situation we're in with AI. It's a robber barons kind of moment for us.
Well, I think also the history of leadership and growth at an executive level in our country is motivated by certain
without a
outcomes,
doubt. Without a doubt.
But also there's a plus and a minus to this, in that
Totally.
there are certain attributes that are usually consistent among successful builders, leaders,
That's right.
and entrepreneurs.
That's right.
But I want to ask you, as someone who is in that category, and to be very transparent, like a female leader in this industry is not a very common, and certainly not having gone back as far as we do.
No.
But you not only persevered, you've thrived and lead and are an inspiration to others. You share your leadership and wisdom with others in various formats. Do you feel that as an obligation, given what's happening?
A responsibility.
Okay, that's a good word.
It's a responsibility, and I've felt it from day one. I don't know if it's because my whole family are first generation Italians, and I come from with a certain ethic. I don't know if I was, it's sort of Catholic girl upbringing. I don't know what it is, or that I'm a Scorpio. I don't know, or Sicilian, whatever.
But these are all the elements that make you.
Yeah, it is. There's a drive. There is a truth teller piece. Sometimes it's a wonderful thing. But if people think they want to hear the truth, but they don't really want to hear the truth, it's kind of a difficult moment sometimes. But there's only one way I know how to go. And it's sort of like, this is the path. Are we on it? Or are we not on it? And if we're not on it, I wish you well. Like, it's I just can't do it any other way. And so I think that allows you to sort of separate yourself from the standpoint of, it's not about gender for me, or sexual. I don't know which one's the right word these days, but it's not about being male, female, or otherwise. To me, it's about what does a human do in a situation like this that is not just about them, it's about the right answer. And I do think that is what, and drive results. It's always been on the merits.
I like how you're leading me here, because this is
on the merits.
The proof will be in the proof points, the data. As a company who has to prove, we're all judged on different metrics and evaluation criteria.
But numbers don't lie.
But are you someone who actually gets excited about the data and the insights that can come from that?
I do.
Yeah. How do you infuse that in not only your company, but in the relationships that you have with your partners?
Well, and it's getting easier, because again, I come back to the right ways to use AI right now people don't necessarily want to do that with you. They just want the answer, right? So if you can empower them to say, oh no, you don't even need me to tell you that. Here's the prompt that will get you there yourself. And when you get you there yourself, what I found is you own it, right? You own it. When I tell you something about the numbers and what you need to know, there's a part of you that's wondering whether or not you're telling me that for you, or you're telling me not for me.
What is being justified?
Exactly. Yeah. Right. And so numbers don't lie, but the way you interpret data is everything. All right. And that's where that honesty thing comes into play. I find that challenging in this industry, by the way.
In terms of understanding how to position left brain, right brain audiences present it with them?
I do, because I think people hear what they want to hear, and I think you really have to be careful and responsible about what you're allowing them to take away. And I think in marketing, that's kind of a tough balance, right? Because you're telling them things you think they need to hear, even if they don't understand it well enough to get there on their own. And it's a responsibility to be, guiding people in an honest way. And again, I come from outside this industry, right? So like I've been in it for over 20 years.
Yeah,
but it is.
I say the same thing, right?
Okay,
but
yeah.
Right. Once
So
you're in it
that's
long
why
enough,
we understand each other so
maybe. But it's, again, a genuine connection
Correct.
that you don't always anticipate
Right.
is
Who knew?
our underlying theme. As you grow and scale, I know you're working now internationally, and there
Yeah.
are different regulations
Yeah,
and
yeah.
guardrails and guidelines
Yeah.
in terms of how content can be created, distributed, amplified, measured. Is that part of the objective even this week in terms of both learning as well as
Always.
communicating how
Always.
to be effective in this?
Always. My team understands like you are in a constant state of listening, understanding, and your responsibility, your obligation, to use your word, right, is to know as much as you can possibly know and collect confirming data that allows us to make right choices and be out in front of the key considerations and drivers of these decisions. So yeah, that is a very big part of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, as we wrap and conclude,
we're
and I would, this is a busy week. Everyone's time is so limited.
No,
You've got to
has been so
get
much
to
fun.
places.
Okay.
I mean, you can stay as long as you want. We can keep talking. But I know that as we adapt and evolve, and we talk about, but also lead the way consumers engage with and consume, literally, engage with content, the behaviors that we are teaching and engendering across different cultures will continue to adapt. But that interactive element continues to be more multi-directional, right? We used to sit and passively watch television. Now we engage with it. In many cases, we are creating content, and we are, not traditionally the creator set, but that's where this multi-layered, multi-networked ecosystem is going. As we branch out beyond Cannes and as we move back into the real world again, in the next days, or maybe this is our real world, but is there a message? Is there like a signal through the noise that you're going to take away from this week that you'll go back to your team and say, you know what, this is an insight that I wanted to share, or a message that I wanted to convey, or something even that you heard this week that was inspiring?
Yeah, no, I think we've covered it, but I guess what if I had to boil it all down, I think that the through line here, not dissimilar to everywhere we've been before, is that change is the constant. That we have to not put ourselves in a position to relearn what we've already learned, to build off of what we know in terms of how we respond to change, and to help our clients through it, right, in a way that they can feel more safe and able to adjust to that change. We have the ability to do that, and it is I think it's even more of a differentiator and a distinction than it's ever been, given all of the things that you just described as our reality.
Well, it sounds like whereas agentic and AI is becoming a foundational pillar, the core above it and below it is still going to be the humanity, right? Our empathy.
Wisdom.
And that's part of it, right? Is an understanding of each other.
That's right. Yeah.
So there's nothing more important from that.
A genuine understanding of each other.
A genuine understanding. And I mean, Jacqueline, this has been a great conversation.
Fantastic.
I've enjoyed talking with you.
Loved
And
it.
another genuine connection.
Absolutely.
But wish you and your team and the company continued success. And thank you for helping just lead the way and inspiring us.
Thank you. That's very kind, and I appreciate the opportunity to do so.
Thank you.